It is Monday. It's the 16th of December. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center, live from Hong Kong. Our top stories today. Syrians are mourning the deaths of dozens of people, including children, after bombs exploded in one of the country's biggest cities on Sunday. A Syrian opposition group says at least 83 people lost their lives when helicopters dropped barrel bombs on 12 Aleppo neighborhoods. At least 50 more people were injured. The United Nations estimates more than 100,000 people have died in the Syrian conflict. But for those Syrians lucky enough to make it out of the country alive, well, their fate can only be described as vulnerable. The United Nations estimates that the number of Syrian refugees will nearly double in 2014 to 4.1 million people. The agency has issued a new appeal for donations as Syrian refugees face a harsh winter and the threat of disease. CNN's Mohammed Jamjoon joins us now live from a refugee camp in Arsal in Lebanon. Mohammed.
Monita, you're talking about the fact that the UNHCR has just stated that they believe that the number of refugees could double.
Mohammed, thank you for that. Well, more than 2 million people have fled Syria's civil war, as Mohammed was talking about, with nowhere to go. Many end up in those refugee camps, that kind of like the ones he's in right now. Let's take a closer look now at the record-setting early winter start in the Middle East. Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center. Mari, we heard there Mohammed talking about this winter storm that's making its way, obviously making it very difficult for those who are already in very, very vulnerable situations.
Yeah, this has been a terrible situation for people in that area. They were already struggling. And then, of course, you deal with these record set. It's cold still, but the snow and the rain, they're done for now. Back to you.
Mari, thank you very much. The United Nations is urging restraint as tensions rise on the border between Israel and Lebanon. The Israel Defense Forces say there has been another exchange of gunfire between Israeli soldiers and several people on the Lebanese side of the border. We're watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Russia on one side, Europe on the other, and now the strongest sign yet. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. Their past lies with Russia, but they want their future to lie with Europe. They are these Ukrainian protesters camped out for weeks on the streets of the capital, Kiev. They are demanding their politicians sign a trade pact with the EU, which they pulled out of last month. But it seems the government has other ideas. On Sunday, the Prime Minister said Ukraine is leaning towards signing a deal with Russia instead. Well, let's take you straight to Kiev, where we join CNN's Diana Magne with more on that. Di?
Hi, Monita. Well, I think the government is trying to keep good relations with both.
Thank you for that. Donna Magni there live for us from Kiev. Let's bring you up to date on some of the other stories we're following for you here at CNN News Center. A statue of Nelson Mandela has been unveiled in Pretoria, South Africa. It's gone on display outside the Union buildings where his body lay in state last week. It's marking a national holiday called the Day of Reconciliation. A U.S. official says whistleblower Edward Snowden might be offered the chance to return to the U.S. under an amnesty deal. If this deal happens, Snowden would have to return secret documents he took from the National Security Agency, but any deal is opposed by the U.S. State Department. Iraqi security officials say 25 people have been killed in a string of attacks across Iraq. They say at least 17 people were killed and dozens were wounded when several car and roadside bombs exploded in Baghdad on Monday. And 8 Iraqi police officers and soldiers died in separate attacks north of the Iraqi capital. India marks a grim anniversary today. 1 year ago, a young woman was brutally gang raped on a bus. She later died of her injuries. 4 suspects were found guilty and sentenced to death. Since the attack, India's parliament has passed stricter laws against rape and sexual harassment. But as Sumnim Udas reports, it's not clear that women are actually feeling any safer on India's streets.
1 year ago, these were the scenes in India's capital. Tens of thousands on the streets.
You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Up next, we reveal who will play who in the Football Champions League knockout stages. Stay with us for that. The Champions League last 16 took place in Switzerland earlier this hour, and as expected, it produced a few They're describing it as mouth-watering clashes. Amanda Davis joins us now live from London to go over these mouth-watering matchups. I've never heard football described that way, Amanda.
Well, you know, Monita, when the Champions League gets to this stage, that is what you expect. It's par for the course, because this is further announcement in due course.
All right, Amanda, always good to see you. Thank you so much for that. Some sad news out of the world of entertainment. Legendary actor Peter O'Toole died. He was 81. His publicist says he passed away peacefully in hospital after being ill for some time. He was perhaps best known as Lawrence of Arabia after playing the title role in the 1962 film. Martin Savage looks back at his life. You're watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal at CNN Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. I'll update you the news headlines in just a few minutes.